Wow. Well, news of President Trump being diagnosed with a virus that leftist reporters and their big government pals keep telling us is so deadly, especially for older folks, that the Bill of Rights has to be turned into toilet paper and governors should act like wardens, now sees many of those erudite journalists bathing in the sewers of celebration, mockery, and derision. But who else could have stepped up to the plate to bat some brickbats all around the nation? None other than, you guessed it, the members of the loving leftist ivory tower. Hi everyone, I'm Gardner Goldsmith for MRC-TV. If it's a breaking story about university professors, you can bank on it being about leftist ideology, antagonism of free speech, demonization of free markets, promotion of failed collectivist policies, lack of historical awareness, racial biases to supposedly cure a race problem they also want to see solved by systemic racism through the state, and of course, crass antagonism of anyone not in favor of all their power-mad philosophies. And that is particularly true about the current president, Donald Trump. And Ben Zeisloft of Campus Reform shows the higher learning Trump haters in all their tweeting glory, including the oh-so-pleasant atheist University of Michigan professor of public policy, of education, of economics, and distinguished diversity and social transformation professor, Susan Dynarski, who offered this, quote, "I've been an atheist for nearly 40 years. But perhaps there is a God, because nothing says class better than snide swipes at sick people and digs at believers in the creator of everything, including her and her free will to act like a jerk." And just to reaffirm her image of highbrow cool, the tax-subsidized University of Michigan employee took extra time to retweet the kind words of others. You can't see her tweets or retweets on Twitter now because Dynarski has hidden her feed from public view. But Zeisloft was able to catch some of the courageous retweets before the courageous Dynarski skulked into the shadows. For example, on October 2nd, she retweeted leftist writer and publisher David Roth and his brilliant attempt to hang from the monkey bars of political disputation, in which he offered this: "Whatever your politics, whatever your party or candidate, wherever you stand on one issue or the next, if you care about the United States of America and want it to flourish, you have to admit that all this ship is objectively hilarious and rules very much." Objectively. Roth might want to start with recognition of the subjective nature of human cognition, but perhaps he'll try the English language again someday when he gets older. And Dynarski served up the pleasant retweet of the volatile mermaid from the same early morning. "I was just told by some people it's wrong to be happy that the president who said that COVID is a hoax has COVID. And to them, I'd like to say from the bottom of my heart, F you, which undoubtedly will improve the world in myriad ways." And not to be outdone by an atheist like Dynarski, when Trump announced that he and his wife were going into quarantine as they awaited their diagnoses, the supposedly Catholic cog at University of Pennsylvania, associate professor of religious studies and African studies, and interim chair of religious studies, Anthea Butler, offered the oh-so-Christian stylings of this tweet: "Too late to open a bottle of champagne? How Christian of her." And according to Zeisloft, Louisiana Tech's tax-subsidized Andrew McKevitt, an associate professor at the School of History and Social Science, what a nicely loose term that is, science, when you look at social studies, who is currently working on a book called Gun Country, offered this charming statement on his Twitter feed: "I thought we had all agreed we wanted to see him die in prison." Then there's Stephen Thrasher, the, get ready, assistant professor of journalism and Daniel H. Renberg Chair of Social Justice in Reporting, with an emphasis on issues relevant to the LGBTQ community. at Northwestern University. When he found out Trump had been diagnosed with COVID-19, Thrasher took to his fiery Twitter platform to offer, "Oh my God, my head aches with laughter, wanting to talk to my dear friend W. Harkavy, who Trump killed with COVID, about tonight." Because, of course, journalism professors know the object pronoun very, very well. Campus Reform offered this grammarian a chance to explain his precise journalism about Trump killing his dear friend W. Harkavy, and he responded with more sad, grammatically incorrect, errant drivel. "I don't know if you've ever buried someone, I've buried a few, but this death was especially enraging because it was preventable," explained Thrasher. "So my head ached with laughter, with the frustration and absurdity of being unable to talk to them, to tell them how the story has developed, that the person who killed them has now come for himself." And so it goes. The outraged mob in the tax-polished halls of academia feel free not only to spout complete venom over an issue they claim is of utter moral significance, they, the professors and those they might have retweeted, miss the more fundamental issue of American jurisprudence and constitutional scholarship. And that is that the federal government has absolutely no constitutional power to fight a naturally occurring threat, be it a virus, a fire, a flood, or an inherited disease. It's pretty simple, almost as simple as using object pronouns when one accuses the president of killing someone or one uses a singular pronoun to describe a single person. But evidently, many in the ivory tower are so clueless about all those things and about fundamental ethics, they'd rather use the internet and make themselves feel better at someone else's expense. It's hard to understand, but it's not as hard to understand as the revelation that a major publishing house just bought the rights to Thrasher's nonfiction screed called, get this, The Viral Underclass: How Racism, Ableism, and Capitalism Plague Humans on the Margins. You know, for someone making a good salary thanks to capitalism, and for a man who can get his message out to thousands more on electronic devices owned even by most Americans federally categorized as poor, his caterwauling tirades seem more than a bit off target. In fact, if it weren't for the productive capacity of capitalism to create surplus even as sellers strive to offer consumers more for less, the great accessories and tools Thrasher and his leftist pals think the government should provide would not be there, and neither would the tax cash to fund the bureaucratic system used to grab these things and redistribute them. It's not exactly respectable to recklessly attack the ill, even when one disagrees with their positions on numerous issues. It's even less respectable to display mind-boggling ignorance when engaging in such an attack. But they'll continue, and we will suffer through it in a Christian fashion, right? Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Remember, like and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, I'll see you in the comments section. Please take the opportunity to visit us on Facebook. Please visit us at MRCTV.org. See us on Twitter. And remember, if you want some great MRC items, go to MRC-store. It helps support MRC, and it gives you something awesome as well. Thank you for being awesome. For MRC TV, I'm Gardner Goldsmith.